pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today is Tuesday, June 14, 2022, the time being 5:30 p.m. The meeting of the Greensburg Board of Works is called to order. At this time, please silence all electronic devices to comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that's available on the table in the back of the room. Amy, would you please call the roll?
Jamie King.
Here.
Rodney King.
Here.
Glenn Tebby.
Here.
Karen D. Rust.
You all should have received a copy of the minutes from May 10, 2022. Any edits, additions, or corrections to those? If not, we take. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we'll move directly into new business. There being no old business. Liz Owens with Tri-Kappa 4-H Parade. Good evening, Liz. If you'd tell us just a little bit about the parade. Yep, if you come on up, tell us a little bit about the route and time.
Okay, so forgive me if I don't say what I need to say, so just tell me. But so the plan for the route is literally the same as every year, but we'll line up along Franklin Street as far back as like Walnut, just a little bit off of Franklin, a little bit off of Hendricks, a little bit off of Central, and we'll come down to Washington Street, cut over to Broadway, and end at Gillenden Howe.
Is it actually on the 4th this year?
On the 4th at 10 a.m.
Okay.
So we've asked like people in floats and things to arrive at 9:15.
Any questions for Liz?
Can't change your tradition.
I agree.
Mike, any concerns about this after 20 years?
No, Liz
Okay.
reached out to us and made sure we're good with everything, and we're good to go.
Quite the system this city has. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. Any questions? If not, I'll take a motion to approve that as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion been made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Perfect. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks.
Up next, Dennis Fogel with the street closures for the Tree City Fall Festival.
Thank you.
Good evening.
On behalf of the Tree City Fall Festival, we'd like to request street closures for the 2022 celebration for the Fall Festival. What we're wanting to do is to close the streets surrounding the courthouse, not Main Street, no later than 6 a.m. on Friday, September 16th through midnight, Sunday, September 18th. Basically, that's what we've done in the past. Also, Broadway Street from KB to the square to allow for the Herb Kohler Memorial Parade for Saturday morning, September 17th from 9 a.m. through the end of the parade, which should be around 11:30, quarter to 12. It'll be the same route almost that we just did, or that they just did for the bicentennial. The parade lineup personnel will probably use a couple of the side streets there like we've always done. We do have the liability insurance to cover everything as far as the festival goes. So we would like to ask that we would have those street closures if at all possible.
Historically, a section of Washington Street to the left, to the west of,
Back to the back of Pickers.
yes,
Yeah.
the night before.
The night before.
Do you want that again?
Yes.
Okay. Time? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Probably around 4 o'clock, I would say. That's about what we did last time.
Board, any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Mike, anything? Okay. Motion's been made.
Second.
Second by Jamie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you very much. Oh, great, thanks. There you go. Up next, Tanya Downey, Main Street, Greensburg, Friends of Fred Food Truck Festival. Say that 5 times fast. August 20th.
Hello, good evening. So we are requesting the street closure on 8/20, on August the 20th. Friends of Fred Food Truck Festival is a new event for Main Street, Greensburg. We were selected as a destination city. They're bringing 15 trucks. They have liability insurance, they're bringing inflatables, kid games, and they come with a great reputation. So we're excited that they're coming. We are requesting that the street department close the street from noon to 11 p.m. on the 20th. After the farmer's market the night before, I'll put up cones to block the parking spaces off, but the street we would like closed by noon.
Saturday, right?
Yes. So we would just block off all of Franklin and the little parking lot between the Veterans Memorial and Main Street.
And you're using some of the courthouse lawn for that too, right?
That is correct.
And you've talked to the commissioners about that?
I'm getting, yes, we're filling out our applications and
Perfect.
getting permits.
So Franklin Street would be closed completely
At noon, yes.
on Saturday afternoon, 39th. Okay.
Just for safety purposes, you know, with kids darting, and we just want to make sure it's safe for everyone, since it will be a family-friendly event downtown.
Both lanes of travel, north and southbound? Okay. Any questions for Tanya?
Not for Tanya. I think this is great, so don't misunderstand the question. What about the businesses who are trying to have a business open on Saturday? We have a number of events coming up in the fall, and I realize it's a special year. But if we continue to do this, are we being fair to the businesses downtown when we're having difficulty getting buildings filled with businesses? Just a concern.
We've taken that into consideration. It's the reason we've moved the farmer's market onto Franklin Street. Since it's a heavy service industry, and after 4 o'clock, Franklin Street is pretty remote. So
Okay.
we felt this was the best option and compromise to the businesses on the other side of the square, and to keep Broadway Street open, you know, for the restaurants and the establishments on Washington as well.
I know your response. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for Tanya? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the closure as presented.
Second.
Motion's made by Glenn, seconded by Jamie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thank you. Quick update, Cam Troxel with First Person is unable to join us this evening. They had a last-minute emergency this afternoon. I went ahead and left them on here as sort of a point of conversation. This is a company that Amy and Julie, Navi, and I have met with to talk about compensation, total compensation studies, how we go through the process of what value we're adding as an employer, what value the employee is receiving from us as an employer. And so I think that they're a really good fit for that. You have information in your packet. He was supposed to come this evening, do about a 10-minute presentation on their company, how they work, and what services they can provide to us. So with your approval, we'll table this for July. And if you have questions, I would encourage you to review the materials. If you have questions in the next month, reach out if you want to meet with them. They're very easy to get a hold of, via Zoom. They're based in Indianapolis. Any questions on that?
I'll make a motion we table until, or we table.
Second.
Motion's been made to table and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Up next, Mike, Police Chief McNeely.
Evening, Board. First thing I want to do is bring to you a promotion, or a request for promotion to Police Officer First Class for Thomas Tuttle. Thomas has completed 1 year of service with us. He's graduated the Police Academy and is eligible to be promoted. He received a high regards during his FTO program and is currently on solo patrol and doing a fine job for the city.
It's hard to believe it's been a year.
It is.
Would entertain a motion to promote Mr. Tuttle to First Class Officer.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, next item.
Thank you. Second thing I want to bring to you is last Tuesday and Wednesday, officers from across the county, the city, the marshal's offices attended a 4-hour training in the morning and then another 4-hour training in the afternoon, as well as inviting in fire EMS personnel to address active violence response and also what we call task force response, which is getting fire and EMS into patients quicker to stop any type of, or to provide any type of life-saving services to the patients. Board member Tebby and one of the council members, Mr. Emsweller, came out and got to see it. I hope that what you saw was good. We made this mandatory for all of our officers. The fire chief made it mandatory for all of his firemen. The sheriff made it mandatory for all of his deputies as well. We had a representation of close to 50 police officers and well over 100 fire and volunteer fighters that were there. This is not in response to anything that's happened currently. We've been working on this for months. As you know, we had a tabletop exercise a few months ago. Our goal is to build this into another scenario-based training next year where it will be more realistic for the officers and also more realistic for the fire and EMS. And it's just basically, I'm coming here tonight just to provide you with that information so that you, if you have questions, I can address those, but also just so you know where we are in response to these types of events.
I know Mayor Marsh was there also, and I found it quite interesting, obviously, but really appreciate the fact that you've been proactive about this. Sadly, we have to be, but I knew that it had to have been worked on for some time, that it wasn't just in reaction to recent tragedies, but so I commend you and the chief and everyone involved, because I could see that it was quite a commitment on everybody's part to take part in that. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
I second all of that, so thanks for the whole team. Sure. Any other questions for Mike on that topic? Okay, next item.
All right, next is an invitation to you and to the public, if they're able to see this or hear this, to come to our next community cookout. It's in 2 nights, Thursday night. Wear shorts. I've authorized my officers to be able to wear shorts that night. It will be warm, but the fire department is going to be cooking for us again. Chicken kebabs, I believe, is what we're doing this time. So it's changing it up a little bit different. We're going to have some live entertainment, and we will be on Franklin Street between Central and Hendricks. Actually, you guys have already approved to close that down for that time. We've been in contact with the folks on that street to let them know what's going on, as well as send some letters out to those that are in the immediate area. So just invite you into the public and to anybody that hears this to come and enjoy a couple of hours of meeting our first responders, interacting with us, and having a little bit of fun and food. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Wastewater Superintendent Zeke Smith.
Good evening, board, mayor. A few things on my agenda here for you. We'll go ahead and get started with the Sandy Creek Lift Station rehab. Just to kind of preface this a little bit, Sandy Creek Lift Station is on the southeast side of Greensburg. It's a busy lift station for us. It handles pretty much all wastewater coming from the southeast side of Greensburg. It's about a 40-year-old lift station. No real recent updates. It has been recently giving us some problems, causing us some heartburn. It's burned up a couple pumps in the last probably 2 months, mysteriously. One, the manufacturer kind of fixed for us, saying it was maybe a warranty issue. The second one, they said it was kind of on us. So having some electrical problems out of that panel. We've replaced a few motor starters in the last month and a couple contactors. It just continues to cause us issues at 1, 2, and 3 a.m. Pretty much any night of the week. So it's time that the lift station gets some attention, so I'm budgeted for it, it is in my budget, so looking to just go forward with updating this and pretty much bringing it up to speed with kind of what we recently did over at the North Broadway lift station, so looking to go forward on that.
You don't have any action items on that topic other than an update that you're pursuing that, right?
Yeah, just, yep, correct,
Okay.
yep.
Questions for Zeke on that? If not, second item, primary digester cleanup.
Again, another kind of maintenance item, this is more kind of preventive maintenance. Our primary digester, as you guys know, we have 2 digesters down at the plant. Those do occasionally get built up. It takes between 5 and 10 years to do so. This is about between a 5 and 10 year PM as far as cleaning this out. I think the other digester, or the secondary, was done about 2 years ago. It produced about, I think, almost 1,000 tons of waste. So what happens is while we clean those out is they essentially get built up from the bottom with kind of sand and grit and debris, and we lose efficiency with essentially circulation and digestion in general, and looking to just go ahead and go forward with having that pumped all the way down and all that waste hauled off. We'll pump it down to the floor, have it cleaned out, and do a general inspection on that. So
We budgeted for that as well.
correct, everything is, all these items have been budgeted for.
Again, more of an update information. Okay. Questions on that one? Third item actually does require some action.
Yeah. So this is our wastewater treatment mainline wall repair. This is something that kind of crept up on me. To kind of give you some background on this, Gas Creek runs through our property, and essentially where this kind of is going down our driveway to the wastewater treatment plant. There's a culvert that runs across there, it's Gas Creek. A wing wall has fell, and it's caused some erosion kind of at the bottom of the creek. It's crept its way up the bank, and there's about 20 feet of our 30-inch main sanitary sewer line that almost every gallon of wastewater that comes in from the city of Greensburg handles is exposed. About 50% of it is exposed, and I'm looking to go forward here with essentially doing some temporary shoring. This is going to be a 2-part fix. Why I can't do it all at once is the state's saying 60 to 90 days for us to get approval to go into the lower quadrant to put and form the wing wall. So with the condition of it, my fear is that something could, a big rain event could make that all fall in. If the belly of that 30-inch line were to fracture, it would be a problem. So looking to shore that up on that bank. Essentially what I'm going to do is drive these beams down into the bedrock and then tile this together with some corrugated metal and backfill that. So it's going to be part 2. The part 1 would have been in the bedrock itself with the wing wall, which will be at some point in the future once we get approval. So looking to just get that repaired sooner than later.
This work that we're going to do won't have to be undone to do the other part.
No, this is just part of this. You know, we're doing the second part first because we don't have the approval to go into the lower quadrant of the creek until IDEM says so. So we thought it would have been done literally last month, and got an update this past week from engineer says they're saying 60 to 90 more days. I'm like, the pipe is exposed. Like, I don't want to wait 90 days. So he says, well, do part 2 to shore up the top of that so it can't essentially fall away from the wall and
And what's
potentially
the
fracture.
reason for the 60 to 90 days?
This is what the state's taking. It's decided for it to get the approval to work in the lower quadrant. So
Okay.
it has to go through a review of the Army Corps of Engineers as well. So I think we're waiting on that as well. So a couple items on that.
So if it were an emergency, would it still go 60 or 90 days?
Oh yeah, you don't get the ability to tell the state when to let us do things, unfortunately. So right now our measure is to shore up the very top of that so it can't fall in on us and be some point catastrophic. So
This is the critical point right now. The lower quadrant's not exposed yet, right?
correct. Correct.
So what we're doing is making sure that we can take care of it in the long run by
Correct.
making sure there's not a catastrophe
Correct.
in the short term.
That is literally it. Yes.
Yeah, when I saw this, I thought, my goodness, we're...
Yeah.
But I understand better now
Yeah.
what your problem is, so.
Any questions for Zeke?
Is the money in the budget to pay for that?
Yes. It's all budget.
And when would you be able to begin that work?
Less than 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that an in-house project or?
No, we're hiring that out.
Okay, this is.
We don't have the ability to do the geo stuff with counting I-beams and that. It's over our pay grade.
It's quite a detailed estimate.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a good thing that we're able to get to that as quickly as you can.
It can't be soon enough for me. Well, like I said, I showed you guys the pictures, and it's concerning.
Have you got estimates for the other part, what that's gonna cost?
Yeah, it's about the same. Yeah, it's about the same cost. Yeah. That wing wall, I think the lower portion was going to be 11 feet by 9 feet frame of that wing wall, so it's going to be massive. The one that's in there now is, I think, maybe 18 inches, and it fell over. So that's what kind of leads the water into the culvert. It literally fell. When it did, the water started backing up against the bank, and just it's all coming down and exposing that. So the engineer wants to essentially make it way bigger and able to handle the flows that, these large rain events that can cause us issues. So.
I think we're,
Is there a motion to accept the bid as presented?
I would move that we accept the bid from Diesel Excavating as presented.
Second.
It's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Up next, Ron May, City Engineer. First item on here is the City Hall parking lots reconstruction bid opening. While he's passing out the scorecards, little background on this. This has always been a part of the plan for the City Hall renovation project. It was originally removed from the very first initial project through DLZ due to some time and concerns about where our budget would come in. We have completed all of those projects, obviously, and there is still money remaining. Yeah, Chris. There is still money remaining in the building bond that we have to use on this property for this project. If our bids are what we think they should be, then there's money available for that. It is, I guess I can let Ron explain what it is we're going to achieve with this.
The plan is to rebuild the pavement that's back here, actually move the parking lot a few feet closer to the building, but still leave a grass strip. And push it a few feet further than it is now, narrow it up a little bit the long way. We would construct a new driveway onto Ireland Street. The current driveway would then become one-way in, which would aid the utility office drive-up window and night deposit operation, and then vehicles would exit through the new driveway to Ireland Street. We will be adding curb around the perimeter of the parking area, which will bring us in conformance with city ordinance for urban parking areas, and restripe all the parking, and we will end up including accessible parking, I think 68 parking spaces.
Questions about the project?
When we are putting in the new driveway, exiting onto Ireland, are there any issues with sight distance?
We do need to get an NDOT permit for that driveway, which we have applied for. Prior to doing that, I submitted our design to them for a preliminary review, and they are satisfied with the location. Actually, where we come to Ireland Street, we're going to move the driveway a little bit to the south to get away from the fence over there, so that will help, first off, with pedestrians, so they're not stepping out in front of a vehicle exiting, but it also, by getting away from that fence, will give us a good sight view to the north.
Will there be any signage on Ireland to make them alert of the driveway?
We have had conversations about additional signage for City Hall. That would help motorists know that's an entrance to the parking. They can still enter over here on the east end where we always have, but this will just be an additional driveway in. It will be the way to exit.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a question?
My question was gonna be about signage.
Okay. Yep.
First bid being opened was received at 1:59 p.m. June 14th. It is Globe Asphalt Paving Company Incorporated, P.O. Box 19168, Indianapolis, Indiana. This does appear to be a complete bid. It does in fact include acknowledgement of addendum number 1. The bid amount from Globe Asphalt Paving Company is $382,210. $382,210. The next bid being opened is from Johanneman Excavating Incorporated, 5869 South US 4 Highway 421, Greensburg, Indiana, 47240, and it was received at 4:30 p.m. on June 14th.
I think you're correct. They were told this sheet and they didn't.
Double check, make sure it's not here. Okay. So this is not a complete bid. The bid from Johanneman does not have an acknowledgement of addendum number 1, and therefore is not a complete bid under the bid requirements. The next bid being opened is from Dave O'Meara Contractor Incorporated, 1100 East O&M Avenue, North Lebanon, Indiana, 47265, and was received at 4:33 p.m. on June 14th. Appears to be a complete bid. The bid amount is $374,000. 374,000. The final bid is from Milestone Contractors, 3410 South 650 East, Columbus, Indiana, 47203. and it was received at 4:35 PM on June 14th. Acknowledgement there. This appears to be a complete bid and does include the acknowledgement receipt of addendum number 1. The bid amount from Milestone Contractors is $654,775. $654,775. That is all of the bids received.
Okay. Any questions? Ron, how do you want it?
My recommendation, we would like to get this work started so that we can get it completed by late summer, early fall. We have some events scheduled that would benefit greatly from having the new parking available. So my recommendation to you is that you conditionally accept De Wilmera Contractor's bid, and the condition would be that early in the morning we'll in more detail review the bids to assure there's no issues and to check their arithmetic and make sure that all works out. So that is my recommendation. Chris, do you have issues with that?
No, I think that's been the power of this board, that contingent upon confirmation of all of the things that I just skimmed through while opening it, that you accept that bid.
What was our rough estimate for that before we took bids,
The engineer's estimate was $364,334.35. And quite frankly, Jamie, right now, estimating work is
I got it.
impossible.
Yeah, I understood. I was just wondering where we came in as opposed to that. I'll make that motion then, that we conditionally accept De Wilmera's offer.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Part 2 to this conversation.
A part of the parking lot project is relocating the power service to the building. Currently, our power comes in on those 2 poles on the north end of the building. Quite frankly, they're in the way of the driveway, so they need to go. We have been in discussion with Duke Energy about that relocation. They have asked that we hire a contractor to put conduit in the ground to where their current conduit is. And so we have a proposal from Schaumburg Construction for $4,200 for the installation of a 4-inch conduit. And we also have from Duke a proposal for rewiring everything to our transformer, removing the poles and cleaning up all of that, which is, and I don't have that exact number, 14,000 and something.
225, 11 cents.
So I am asking you for permission to get that work going also so that we can keep the parking lot project moving efficiently time-wise. It all fits within the budget. Even with the Duke work, it comes in under, I think it still comes in under the engineer's estimate for just the parking lot, so it seems a value.
I'll make that motion.
There's still, go ahead.
Motion's been made. Comment?
Just a question. There still are sufficient funds within the bond to cover both the 375 plus the whatever,
Yes.
18,
Yes.
20,000 roughly.
Yes, there's.
Okay. I will second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Ron, thank you for all the help on getting this project completed.
Just to be clear, the motion was for both the Schaumburg and the Duke Energy, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I wanted to.
It's all kind of part of that. Up next, Street Commissioner Mark Klosterkemper. Update on heavy trash.
Good evening. They were passed out this evening. I've sent you a few pictures. First, I want to give you some of the numbers. This year's heavy trash was absolutely astronomical and overwhelming, to say the least. Financially, the cost of the dumpsters, which was everything that was brought to us, and plus what we picked up in the boom truck and throughout the week, cost $15,000 for the 5 days. The amount that the trucks picked up above and beyond what they would normally pick up in a week was another $12,650. So the cost just for the landfill fees was $28,000. A few dollars short of that $28,000. The other cost, in 1 week, we spent 1/3 of our overtime budget for the year.
Oh, my goodness.
We were shorthanded. A couple of people had one out with COVID, had one out with an injury. Myself had the pleasure of spending 5 days on the back of the garbage truck, and we were working till 7:30 to 8 o'clock at night to just get done. The volume's just tremendous. To give you an idea, what went into the dumpsters was 1,080 cubic yards, weighing 269,000 pounds. What went into the trucks above and beyond what we normally pick up was 744 yards, and the 6 people on the back of the truck, 7 on Monday as the mayor assisted, we picked up by hand 376,000 pounds of trash. The construction debris is just unreal. Now to go through the pictures quickly. This is one of the things that just really bothers me. This, the first picture, the amount of recyclable material that we pick up is unreal. If you look at this pile, this is strictly cardboard and recyclable plastic, except for one piece of styrofoam. Every bit of this could have been placed in a recycle container throughout the course of the year and disposed of, and saved the cost. Instead, that was all out in front of one house.
Where can people take their recycling to?
The landfill's open from 7 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock p.m. They have the same things they used to have here in town, sitting right by the scales. People can just drive in, pull up, unload, and leave.
At no cost.
No charge whatsoever.
This is in the city, because it could be recycled every week.
Yeah, the worst problem is they could get a recycled container. If they'd have folded up that cardboard and dropped it in the container every 2 weeks, it would have been picked up for them. But that's a tremendous issue we have. The second thing, if you look at the bottom picture and the full page picture on the next, that is one of our most time-consuming problems. That is loose trash.
We shouldn't be picking up that, I mean, if it's not at least bagged, that's.
To give you an idea, that second page picture, 3 people and a truck spent almost an hour at one residence to pick that kind of stuff up.
Is that though people going through it after the homeowner puts it out?
If you will notice, there's not any hardly empty bags. There is a ton of loose trash, and if you look at the bottom of the first page, the bags are untouched. They just simply threw it all out there like it was just a disposal dump site.
Well, are there public rules or guidelines to heavy trash day?
No, but we're gonna have to come up with some.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You can't, I mean, we can't expect people to follow rules that aren't there.
Yeah.
So if you,
We used to have some rules.
common sense or not, if there's no rules,
Well, I know, and there was rules, but they've been relaxed because they said they wanted to pick up everything.
This is something we shouldn't do at all, if it's not bagged up.
And I can tell you that right there, that came in on a dump truck, because one of my employees seen it. The guy backed up in the yard, raised the dump truck, and just dumped it alongside the road, and it didn't come from within the city. The picture on the top of page 3, that was on it's on the west side on Thursday night about 6:30 or 7. One truck had already backed up and filled. Those trash bags were all the way from the curb to the house, including the driveway and all the way to the right of the photograph. And that was nothing but trash. I took a picture and the property owner came out and asked me why. I said, the sheer volume. She goes, well, we don't want to pay for a second toter, and we don't want to have to buy one. So what we've done since the last heavy trash, we just throw our garbage in the backyard and we wait for heavy trash, and so we carry it all out here for you guys to pick up today for free. And I'd say it was probably 250 bags of garbage that came out of the backyard. The big problem, you can look at the next 3 pictures, we have got people that are putting out construction debris like you can't imagine. That's somebody flipping a house. They placed that out there. They took the time to tell me, we'll have twice that much more in August for you to pick up. The top of the next picture is the same person that flipped another house, and that is about 40 feet long. And if you'll notice, there's rocks, there's concrete, all the drywall, all the plaster, everything. The bottom picture, that's another bunch of construction debris. And like the last picture, that was about a 2,200-pound playground set from somebody's backyard that they didn't even help take apart. We had to manhandle that thing around to where we could get it out to where we could get the boom truck to pick it up. So,
If it's not even a part.
so I just brought to your attention to show you we've got to get it under control. We've had some discussion. The mayor came down, we talked to the entire staff about it. Some of the things we looked at, we need to make sure all bag trash, nothing loose.
So we need to have a draft ordinance by July. That way.
I think we're gonna
We're
gonna deal with August the same as we did with May.
No, I think if we have a draft ordinance by July, we can approve it in August, when that's the week before heavy trash, right? Our council meeting?
Yes.
I think it's the week before, and we could be posting guidelines that this is coming after our meeting in July.
Well, I think we're gonna have to, we looked at the cost, we set out.
You can't spend an hour picking up that. I think we could get it done in time, Mark.
Well, here's some of the things we've talked about. All trash must be bagged. We want to eliminate the construction and the remodeling debris.
Well,
In
real
other
quick,
words, if you talk to Bestway, they set fewer roll-offs in Greensburg than any place else because nobody puts their construction debris in a roll-off dumpster anymore. They just wait for heavy trash. That's why we're picking up 700,000 pounds of trash in a week.
We should, that should be eliminated.
What
Is
was
there
your
any
question?
possibility that someone could communicate with other communities and find out what kind of guidelines
I
they're
have.
using? You're doing that?
I've already spoken to several.
Thank you.
It was unusual that we had a gentleman come down who's a representative of an engineering company, and he stopped in on that Tuesday. And I spoke to him for a few minutes, and you gotta realize, he travels the state of Indiana. And he told me, he goes, I have never drove into a community in 20 years and ever seen this much trash in one town. That's how far we're out of control. But yes, there's people that are putting limits on it, so we're looking at that possibly. We talked about just eliminating it and having one day a month where you could set out one heavy appliance. You know, set out an appliance, set out a sofa, set out whatever you've got, and not have a heavy trash week. We'll just do it the first collection day of each month, but you're limited to one item, and get out of the trash business. We've also talked about that. So anyhow, think about it, get in touch with me, give me some phone calls, let me know what you think.
I think we need to
I
have a
have
draft
I have-
agenda
I
by
have some
July.
thoughts, yeah. A couple comments. First, before I forget, I had a question. How does this compare to last year or the year before? Because you came.
Well, we're up about 250,000 pounds or 250,000 pounds.
Okay, because you came last year, I believe, and it was a very similar report. It was like the
But it
biggest
wasn't
year.
near the magnitude.
Okay. Just a comment. I don't think it's fair to the citizens to tell them a couple weeks before heavy trash day that now they can't set their trash out, that they have been planning to set that out.
No,
I don't think
if
that's
we do a
fair.
draft, or if we have the first reading in July, we can publish that a month in advance. Tell them, here's what's coming, and they've got more than a month in advance. I think to ask the street department to pick this up is awful, and we shouldn't do this to our employees, period.
Right, but we have told the city of Greensburg for however many years that this is a, something that they have and they can utilize, and tell them a week or
It was
two or
never
a month
intended to pick
before.
up construction.
I understand, but we haven't set out those rules. We need to set out those rules, but I don't think a week or two or a month is fair to the citizens.
I disagree, but
Well,
I think it's
My recommendation to you will be, while you certainly can pass an ordinance in the next 2 meetings that takes effect prior to the August trash day, if you attempt to enforce that ordinance against anybody, they're just going to say, I didn't know anything about it. And then you're going to be you're gonna spend more money, you're not gonna spend more money than you do on trash, but you're gonna spend more money fighting unnecessary fights. I mean, you can certainly pass the ordinance and say, this time in August, we're going to ask you to do your level best to, utilize the new ordinance. But if you try to bring in a series of enforcement actions as a result of that newly imposed trash ordinance, I think you're going to have a difficult
I
time.
don't think there's an enforcement action, it's we're not picking it up. And then at some point in time, then we go back to the homeowner for leaving it out. But we publicize Heavy Trash Week on Facebook, and we send it out in the newspaper, and we can clearly put, these are the acceptable items for heavy trash. These items are not acceptable, and we can publicize that, we can share that, and we can put it out and make sure it's well known. And then,
But respectfully, those do end up in enforcement actions. Because if you don't pick those items up, and they don't pick those items up, then Sarah's office is sending out building violation letters to every one of those homeowners that says, you have a bunch of trash in your yard. And then they are saying, well, you were supposed to pick it up last week, that's why it's still in the yard. So I tend to agree that while I certainly think that an ordinance and rules and regulations is warranted, and agree with you, Jamie, that none of the things that I've seen in these pictures are things that should be part of this, I think there's an educational component to the citizenship before you engage in enforcement actions.
2 things. I think it would behoove us not to wait till the July meeting, but to get some kind of article in the newspaper, on the radio, to make them aware of the problem we experienced with this last go-around, and how much it's costing the city, what effect it's having on the employees, and make them aware. The second part of the problem is, I don't believe that everything that I'm seeing in these pictures are all from within Greensburg. I think there is a lot of stuff that's being brought in from either out in our county or from other communities and brought here because we've opened the door.
I know that there's been significant conversation surrounding that. One of the ideas actually generated from the roundtable that we had with employees afterwards was, some type of postcard saying yes and no, right? And I think that may be an opportunity to do that in August, right? This is what we do pick up, this is what we don't. We send them out for the community night outs, they're well received, people put them on their fridge. I think
it's a reasonable
and it's a
cost.
reasonable expense.
We can get it to every household for $1,200.
So it
look
is.
how much you'd save on construction debris.
Yeah.
You take that money back, I mean.
I don't disagree with, and I appreciate your concern, Jamie. I have the same concerns. I think we can try the educational route prior to August. Hopefully we have some compliance.
I'm just thinking the health and safety concern, trying to lift that, and, trying to clean that stuff up. Somebody's gonna get hurt, somebody's gonna get seriously injured. So it's not just a cost to the city there, it's the health and safety of our employees. I'll stop, because I'm just gonna get.
A couple of thoughts. What is the is there an ordinance, or is there some reason that we have to do something in August? Do we have to have a heavy trash day in August?
I think the reason it's historically been there is it has allowed for summer help that is here to be extra sets of hands.
I understand. So, you know, my one thought was we could postpone it a little bit later. But there's also, in terms of getting word out and getting people educated. But the other is, with the abundance that was here already, I don't know what's left.
That's what we say every year.
Well, I understand, but my point is that maybe we don't do it in August. We give ourselves some time to refine a reasonable set of rules, enough time for people to be educated over and over again over the next spring when we do it. We have reasonable expectation that people should know what they can and cannot do, and enforcement can be legitimately pursued. So the second thing I would offer is, I don't know that with the roundtable with the employees and others, and I agree with Jamie that I think it's something that's not urgent, but I think it's something that we need to do now while it's fresh and deliberate here over the next couple of months. So my question would be for you or mayor or somebody to send out what are some, if you have models or drafts from other, rules from other communities, send us that. We can see what are the recommendations that you think